The biggest problem in the industry is not necessarily the lower number of sales per book or how many variant covers there are or how many incentive covers there are. It's how short the shelf life is for every single book. Because that means that the unsold copies, there's no outcome for them other than throwing them in a back issue box, hoping someone wants them in 5 years, or just remaindering them as quickly as you can.
For any occasion, so keep patting down waiting, comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Happy Thanksgiving, Dal.
Happy Thanksgiving, Patrick.
As we record this, it is not Thanksgiving.
No, it's the day after. It's Black Friday.
Thanksgiving is over, and it is now officially the Christmas season.
It is.
And it was evident by today, Friday, lots of people coming in to buy Christmas presents.
That's cool.
Not lots, but several.
More than a usual Friday, I guess.
Here is the weird thing about today. As you said, today's Black Friday.
Yep, all day.
What is Black Friday customarily known for in America?
Sales.
What question did we not get at all today?
What's on sale?
Doesn't that blow your mind?
It's great, though. I mean,
nobody asked about Black Friday at all. However, we got probably a dozen phone calls asking what time we were open until.
Oh, okay.
And that's such a weird thing because, or not just that, are you open today? And
Right.
then what time you open until? Who's closed on Black Friday?
I can't imagine many stores, like retail stores, that are closed on Black Friday, but there must be some.
Black Friday is such a thing now that it's basically a month-long celebration.
Yeah, I definitely started getting emails from everyone I've ever shopped with online about 2 weeks ago, and then every day since then.
It's honestly worse than the political emails and texts.
It's pretty bad. This would be a week that we would normally have sent out an email to our subscribers on Friday saying, like, hey, the new catalogs are up and you can order from them. That email's ready to go. It's queued up. It's scheduled. We specifically did not send it out on Friday because it's just going to get lost in people's overflowing inboxes. And it's going to look like one more Black Friday thing, even though it will have a different thing in the subject line. So
even if you said specifically,
Saturday.
This is not a Black Friday email, people would still see Black Friday and be like, delete.
Pretty much.
I know,
So,
because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I deleted so many emails this week without reading them, and it is much higher than normal. It was so many. And again, you said some. For me, it was even, you looked at an ad of ours on Instagram? We're emailing you. I mean, maybe not that specific because they didn't have my information, but.
No, it was basically anyone I've ever ordered from, and since I probably had this email address. So it's a long time, and yeah.
And admittedly, I join a lot of email lists around the holidays if I am holiday shopping for someone in particular who wants a thing from a store. I don't know, let's say Express off the top of my head.
Top of your head.
And then I will join their email list because I'll get an extra 10% off of my purchase.
Sure.
I'll take that.
Sure.
And then I have to remember to get around to deleting
Yes.
it. And it's easy to do because you're suddenly inundated.
I do it
with
January
emails.
1st.
Yeah.
That's kind of my tradition. Is my New Year's resolution is always going through my inbox. And instead of just deleting everything that I don't want to read or I'm not interested in, actually unsubscribing from people's email lists.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. The tricky thing is there's a few places where it's like, I don't want to read an email every single day from these people, but there will be one point during the year where I will want to know about a sale of theirs and then I'll want to participate. So it's like, if I unsubscribe, I'll never know, but it's an email almost every single day. Ties.com does not need to send me 5 emails a week every week for 10 years.
No.
Oh my God, I know you sell ties. It's ties.com.
I miss Tycoon. That's where I used to get my ties from because they were all $5 ties. And they were really good ties. It was CTA Santa Tony Valdez who hipped me to that site.
Yeah.
And they even did like the extra long ties that I like. And most of my ties that I wear, not this one, are from Tycoon.
Okay.
Yeah, I miss them. But you're right, and this is a thing that I bought for myself. I have 2 different new companies I'm getting pants from. I'm trying really hard not to yawn when you do that.
Sorry.
It
just means you're not a psychopath.
It got me. It got me. I was able to stop the first one, but not the second one.
Uh-huh.
One of them is emailing me multiple times a day.
I don't like it.
What for?
I really don't like it.
I got really annoyed that...
There is no business that should email you more than twice a week. That's just a rule for me.
There was a thing that I bought for someone on my Christmas list already, and I found it was an Instagram ad. I'm like, oh, I'll get this. Today, I get the, hey, you know the thing you just bought? It's 25% off today. You jerks.
Yeah, right? Oh, cool. I guess I need another one.
Why would you tell me that?
Yeah.
But emailing is a thing that, like, we are aware of anybody who subscribes to our list or who unsubscribes from our list. Mm-hmm. And occasionally one of us say to the other, hey, did you see so-and-so unsubscribed? Huh? Yeah?
Yes.
Or, wow, that guy was still on the list?
Yeah.
They haven't shopped here in years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we do that benefit people who don't shop with us. Like recommendations we'll give or reviews we'll give.
Okay.
Or people who will literally say, oh, thanks so much. I put that on my list at my LCS.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
Good.
You know, we prefer you buy it from us, but it's good to know it's
not a
helpful.
requirement, yeah.
There's, in that regard, there's like a couple of disgraced former subscribers of ours who still like things of ours on Instagram.
Disgraced is a strong word.
People that were delinquent,
sure,
and we had to kick out of the club.
I know what you mean by using the word disgraced.
I think it applies.
Sure.
I mean, it's people we don't have the highest of opinions of.
No.
People who literally burned us.
Sure.
People who asked us to order things for them and then never bought them.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I'll stay with disgraced. But it's like, why do you even still follow? Like,
it's weird.
I could block you, but there's no point in that. Like, you're not a rude person. It's just, you know, we don't need interactions. Stop liking our things.
I guess it's a situation where there's just no awareness of how seriously we take something like that. You know?
There should be.
Like, well, there should be, but there isn't. I mean, for people who've never worked in comics, the idea of, like, I ordered something, I didn't come in for it, is probably just, oh, they'll just sell it. They'll just sell it to somebody else. And it's like, oh, no, you might have literally cost us hundreds of dollars. Like, I'm not going to forget about that. Along
those lines, there was a subscriber today who emailed with a list of things that they wanted to take off their list, but said, and well, at least one of those books is already in their box, mm-hmm. and they're like, what's the best way for me to tell you when I'm dropping things when it's past the deadline? There is no best way.
Yeah.
It's past the deadline for a reason.
The best way is to not do that.
Yeah, and I pointed out, I'm like, look, we bought these. I mean, you saw my reply.
Yeah, I did.
I assumed you thought it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, your reply is what we always say, which is that we've already ordered these things, and while, you know, we might try and do you the favor of trying to absorb those books, it's not something we can do on a regular basis, and it's certainly not something we want to make a policy.
Yeah.
The policy is actually, you have until we order the books to tell us you don't want them. Anything up to that point, you want to do it online, you want to shoot us an email, you want to come in and tell us, you want to call in and say it, we will work it out. We will absolutely make sure that those things are taken off your list before the deadline. After the deadline, it's like, we already ordered them because you said you were going to buy them. It's too late for you to say, I don't want to buy them now.
Yeah, we ordered this specific extra copy for you.
Yeah.
And they were cool about it. I think they understood.
Yeah, I mean, I hope for a lot of newer subscribers, it's just a lack of awareness. It's just, you know, again, not understanding how it works and sort of how that the 1 or 2 copies that someone ends up not wanting could literally cost us money if they don't sell. And they're probably not going to sell.
Yeah.
That's just how razor thin the line is in the market between, you know, profitable and unprofitable. So hopefully making it clear to somebody like, hey, that's not cool. Then it's just, you know, okay, now both sides understand each other and everything's going to work out and we're going to take care of your books and you're going to not stick us with stuff. And that's a good relationship, hopefully long term.
Yeah, and it's important to be able to express that in a clear, concise, matter-of-fact, hopefully non-judgmental way.
Yeah.
It's important to impart the information without there being any hostility involved.
Yeah, like we had, I think last week we had someone, long-time subscriber who's I think fairly new to using the Managed Comics platform, email in to say that they were having a problem where they were trying to add a book that was shipping that week, and, you know, the system wouldn't let them do it, so, you know, now they have to... It seemed maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it seemed like they were a little irritated, like, well, now I've got to email you to get this on my list. And it's like, well, the system wouldn't let you do it because the deadline for you to order that book was 3 weeks ago. That's why it's not letting you add it the Saturday before the book comes out, you know?
Yeah.
That's too late. But, you know, in this instance, we should have extra shelf copies. We will add it to your list. But this is a system working as intended.
We had someone call today, and don't worry, Dal. We're going to talk about variant covers a little bit later in the episode.
Ah, super cool.
But they called specifically a non-club member. By the way, it's weird to call that last person we were talking about a subscriber because they literally don't subscribe to anything. It's all special orders.
No, they do.
The person I responded to?
Oh, I thought the person.
Yeah.
I thought you
the
meant
person
the story I was
sorry.
just telling. Sorry. Yes. No, I understand.
Yeah, but anyway, subscriber still is our chosen verbiage for that.
Sure.
But somebody called looking for a specific cover for Batman Superman World's Finest 10.
Okay.
And they said the Dan Mora cover. Can they reserve it? Yeah, sure, it's the A cover. We'll have that. That's no problem. We can put you in the book for it.
Sure.
No, not the A cover, the Dan Mora cover. Dan Mora did the A cover. Dan Mora also did the holiday variant cover featuring
Oh, okay.
Paul McCartney.
Oh, what? Oh, is it like one of the DC Christmas card covers? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we didn't order that.
So they wanted the Paul McCartney cover.
Okay.
And at first Gina's like, I don't think Paul McCartney did a cover for them. He does different kinds of covers.
It's true.
But it came out that, no, it's the holiday variant cover, and FOCs have already passed, and we did not order that book.
Nope.
So I'm sorry, we can't take that for you.
Nope. Too late.
Yeah. DC is offering a lot of their older literal Christmas cards that they use to send out to their freelancers and retailers and whatnot in years past, and they're treating them as variant covers, like $1 extra cardstock covers, and that's a whole line for December, and we chose not to play that game.
Mm-hmm. They use every part of the buffalo. Man, oh man.
Right? They're never going to not use it.
No.
Here's one of my favorite interactions from today. Actually, there's been a couple of fun ones. Our friend Jasper was in.
Okay.
Jasper is loves comics.
Yes.
May be developmentally disabled.
Sure.
It's not for me to diagnose.
Nope.
But always wants to say hi to everybody.
Yes.
And I had said, hey, happy day for Thanksgiving. And Jasper corrected me and said, no, happy Black Friday.
That's true.
And he kept saying happy Black Friday.
Yeah.
Which, fine.
Yeah.
Happy Black Friday. I'm never super comfortable with that term.
Yeah. What, happy?
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I mean, I'm not practicing, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's fair. But I was ringing two people up, perhaps a couple, presenting as two different genders. Mm-hmm. And Jasper came right up to the woman, like got right in her face and said, hey, lady. And I said, Jasper, personal space. And Jasper backed up.
Nice.
Yeah. Because it was just it was like, Jasper,
you know better.
personal space.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, and that was it. It was all good.
Sure.
I was waiting for him to start talking about Pokemon cards and asking about their favorite Pokemon cards, and as a callback to the kid from last week.
Yes.
There were a couple times there were larger groups of people in the store.
That's good.
Families. There was one family that had another potentially developmentally disabled person who was asking for a Superman Kryptonite book, but a thicker one, not a thinner one. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming it was trade paperbacks, but I'm like, I can show you where all the Superman books are. I can't show you a specific... I really like it when he fights Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor, like, exposes him to kryptonite. He didn't use expose, but...
Sure.
So I'm like, look, here, I'll bring you to the Superman books.
There was a book called Kryptonite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I can't remember.
That's not what he was looking for.
No,
he was just
I
in
can't
general.
remember what storyline it was. I remember there being
The one with
it was
kryptonite?
like Kryptonite. But it was... It was not a popular, like, huge storyline.
And not a thing we would have.
No. I think it was in like a... It was like a miniseries, maybe? I don't know.
But I passed an older woman explaining Mouse to a younger woman.
Okay.
And I stopped and I said, hey, you're doing great. Keep going. I got questions about Persepolis next.
Yeah.
And then they all laughed, like, oh, she really knows this book. She loves it. And then the young woman came up buying it and says, does my aunt get a commission if I buy this,
Free bookmark.
I'm like, as soon as you buy over $100 of books she recommends, yes.
Uh-huh.
And then we joked around about that more. And then I asked her if she wanted to pitch anything else to anybody else.
Sure.
And she's like, oh yeah, anytime. I'm like, great, we open at 11 tomorrow. Come back.
Yeah.
And we all laughed.
Oh, the laughs.
It was all, just building camaraderie and community. And
more like Laugh Friday.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, just folks buying presents. You can tell because they were saying presents and whatnot. And a general decent... And like, it wasn't a blockbuster day, but... It was better than an average Friday without there being any sales.
That's great.
And again, the fact that nobody asked for sales is amazing.
Cool. Good work.
I don't get credit for that.
Good work.
Gina's like, on the rare occasion we do have sales and have signs up about the sales, people still ask you about the sales.
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, there wasn't any this time. And the store is mostly decorated for Christmas.
Okay.
There is a very... I'm stupidly proud of this clever thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you recall, years ago, I bought this Santa tree topper for a Christmas tree.
Okay.
And it's like a cloth Santa, an old-timey Santa with holding a candle and a big sack of gifts. And it's on like a big plastic cone that fits on top of the tree.
Okay.
And I bought it at a after Christmas holiday closeout for dirt cheap. But it's too heavy to ever fit on any tree that I've owned.
Sure.
So while we were at the store on Wednesday, I ran all the cables for the Christmas tree because they have to come from above now. And they come over the ducts where Chris Mitz put up our gallery lighting.
Sure.
And there's some zip strips up there. So it's
Perfect.
Connected from the ceiling and runs down behind the bookshelves. But I was able to hide a lot of the cords in between the Calyx bookshelves and sidekicks, hook up a little on-off switch.
Okay.
But there's the big power brick, the orange extension cord, and in between the two of those is the on-off switch.
Okay.
So it's this stack of electronic stuff
Sure.
that Santa goes right over.
Okay. Perfect.
So you'll need to know that for when you're turning things on days you work.
Okay.
Because we turn the tree off at night because people really can't see inside cakes at night.
Sure.
So you just lift Santa up, turn it on,
Okay.
cover it back up.
Good to know.
I thought that was very clever.
Yeah.
And I will write down decorations for Christmas. The only thing that isn't done yet, we hung all the stockings,
Okay.
but it turns out that Stella started this year.
Oh, okay.
So she didn't have a stocking last year.
Okay.
And in the move to this underground podcastatorium, streamlining all of the extra Challengers things we had in the previous recording studio closet.
Yeah, huh?
I got rid of all the
Extra stock?
the letters.
Oh, no.
I have plenty of stockings.
Okay.
But I don't have a way to denote that it's her stocking.
I see.
So I checked around, and I'm going to have to go pick some of those up.
Okay.
So there's a space. I let Gina decide the order in which the stockings were hung. And because I'm just that generous of a coworker, I let her climb up on the counters and hang them as well.
How nice.
I know, right? You know how much I enjoy that.
So giving.
But I was the one to hang all of the ornaments and the bells off the lights. And while I was going up and down the ladder 1,000 times, I was trying to replace whatever bulbs I could.
Sure.
Guess what we're out of?
Bulbs?
Bulbs.
Oh, no.
So there's a couple of bulbs that I didn't replace, and there's at least 3 of them I can't because it's a ballast issue.
Sure.
We've got at least 3 ballast issues, if not 5.
Wow. Okay.
And that's bad.
That's bad.
And it's been a couple of years since we had access to an electrician. The electrician we used last time, Paul, the last time I reached out to him and be like, hey, man, we got more stuff. He's like, yeah, great, I'd love to do it. Silence.
Time to find a new electrician, I guess.
Yeah, which is never fun.
No.
I was trying to, years ago, when we had money, which we can't do now, reach out to a lighting company and be like, redo our lighting.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
We're tired of this lighting.
Yes.
We don't want fluorescent anymore.
Yeah.
But now we're stuck with them.
We are.
So I'll have to get new bulbs
Okay.
over the weekend at some point.
Sure.
My work is never done.
It never is.
Never.
Never.
So much to do.
So much work.
My goodness.
Oh, no.
Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
It was okay, yeah.
Gave thanks.
I did a little bit, I guess. Yeah, it wasn't really anything that has any stories attached to it. It was just Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I didn't think it would.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to move into variant covers now.
Cool. I will see you later.
It's a topic we've never talked about before. And I fully expect you to tune out of this one.
Okay.
Because I've got a thing to read.
Gotcha.
So go ahead and get out your iPad and
No.
just start ignoring me.
No, I just zone out.
That's fair. I know this is a topic we never discussed before, but David Harper from Sketch.com
also
vowels,
never discussed before.
True. I don't know if people know who he is. He's a mystery. He's an enigma. He had a very detailed article on his website all about the proliferation of variant covers in today's market. And one of the startling facts is that the number of variant covers being produced on an average month averages out to every single issue of a comic that comes out has 3.5 variants.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Which is insane.
It's so high. It's a really...
An average of 2, meaning like 1 open order and 1 incentive, would seem kind of high. An average of 2 would be high, and the average is 3.5.
Yeah.
It's... Oh my god, that's a lot of covers, man. Like, David Harper broke it down and found out that, like, in the monthly catalog, I think, for comics, or a month's worth of comics,
yeah,
it's like 70-something% is variant covers.
Yeah.
Like...
That is colossal.
Yeah, that's terrifying. And I mean...
Which makes sense, because if every single book has 3.5 variant covers, that's 4 to 5 covers per book, which means that the A cover is 25%.
I don't think of Challengers as a store that goes in very heavy on variant covers. We've historically been slow to adapt to that part of the marketplace. For a long time, we didn't order any variant covers, even open order ones. Special orders, sure, but rack copies, nope. Eventually, we started doing more of the open order ones because we just started to see more and more people asking for them in a way that we could not turn them to the A cover. They just wanted the B cover, and us saying no was basically just saying we don't want your money. So eventually we started to do more of the open order covers, and then eventually we started to qualify for enough of the incentive covers that we started to rack those as well. We were doing them on eBay for the longest time, but then it was just like, we have enough, we can put them on the shelf. We have a formula for how we do the prices. It's been a steady, slow process, but now we do a more variant covers than I probably would have been comfortable with 6 or 7 years ago. But the thing is, I still don't think of us as a variant cover store because there's so many covers, open order and incentive, that we just outright say, no, we're not participating in that.
Like holiday covers.
Like Image's Spawn Month, where it's like, we'll pick and choose like a couple for like, a Daniel Warren Johnson one or an 8 Billion Genies one. But, like, we're not going to do them for just every book just because they're offered.
That Texas Blood, we're not getting a Spawn cover. I know we called that one out last month, or last episode as well, but...
But even by the sense of disgust, we kind of, for the incentive cover and open order cover and variant cover end of the market, when I'm looking at our shelves every Tuesday night or Wednesday, it's still insane, like, how many variant covers we do have. And we say no to way more than we say yes to.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, nearly every book, it's like, holy crap. Like, it used to be, when I was laying out, prior to Molly Jane taking this over and doing a great job with it, when I was laying out the New This Week section on Tuesdays, my rule was I never want to have a book go from the end of one shelf to the beginning of the next shelf. Like, I don't want...
You don't want to break up the flow. You don't want that...
I don't want Batman cover A to be at the far right of one shelf and then Batman cover B to be at the far left of the next shelf below it. I like there to be like a sense of like, these books are all together. Like, all the covers go together. It is impossible to do that now because almost every book has a variant cover or more, and there's 7 spots on a shelf. So if every book has at least one extra cover, you're never going to be in a situation where... you can put, A and B, A and B, A and B, and now it's like, okay, well, A and then now B has to go on the next shelf. Or A, B, C, and D have to go on the shelf, and then A and B next to it, and then another A and B have to split. So it's like, just trying to lay out the books in a way that's visually appealing and merchandises them all together is impossible to do now, because any given book can have up to like 5 or 6 covers. And again, this is from a store that says no to most variant covers. that's how nuts the market is for variant covers.
I don't think people realize how much literal math is involved in spacing out the new product for each week, the graphic novels and the single issue comics. The fact that you and Molly have to go through the list of what's available or what we're getting, seeing what's actually going to be on the shelf versus what is just ordered for a special order, and literally counting it out and spacing it out ahead of time before the books hit the rack. It's not just like, oh, we can just, here's the Spider-Man section, just put a new release sign there. No, it's got to be counted out meticulously every week.
Yeah.
And even when you and I were doing double duty at Challengers Blue 3 years ago, 3 years ago this upcoming week.
Happy 3-year negative anniversary.
Right. You still did it for both stores.
I did.
So, I mean, I would put the books on the shelves, and I would change things or move it around, or
of course.
You would always just be like, hey, there's a bunch of empty space at the end. Deal with it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I mean, it was never...
deal with it. But it was just like, hey, here's room for you to stretch it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically my process. Molly Jane has a different one where she will...
To the space.
She will lay out everything space-wise and then just put everything on the shelf at the end of the night. What I would usually do is give every single SKU, I guess, one spot, and then have a bunch of empty space at the back, and then start from the back, moving everything around, spreading it out, so that by the time you got to the front, everything's completely filled up. So that the things that when she's laying it out, she'll be like, oh, we get a lot of this comic, I'll give it 2 spaces, and that'll help fill up some of the extra spaces. I would do that at the end of the night. I would do that as I was putting books on the shelf. I'd go, oh, we have a bunch of these, let me make an extra spot. It's just,
I like the idea of, oh no, we need to fill up some extra spaces. Haha, not so much anymore.
Yeah, more often now because of how many individual SKUs or items or whatever you want to call it. It's harder most weeks to make it all fit because, again, you're not just ordering like Avengers. You're ordering Avengers and the Avengers variant cover that enough people wanted subscription-wise to entice us to order it for the shelf, thinking there would be copies that other people who'd never even subscribed to it might want if they saw it.
This is entirely unrelated, but is the new Jason book taller than the rest of them?
It is.
That sucks.
I don't like it.
That's so stupid.
It's taller and wider?
Wider, fine.
No, not fine, because it sticks out from the bookshelf more from the other ones.
Oh, I thought you meant
thicker?
Thickness of spine.
No, I mean wider. It also has a different Fantagraphics book logo.
Goodnight Hem has that same one, kind of.
A little bit, but not quite. And also they flipped it where it says Jason at the top and then Upside Dawn in the middle instead of... God. Yeah.
It's frustrating.
I don't care. That's more of a Molly Jane thing to care a lot about something like that. I find it a little irritating, and I don't know why you would do it that way, but whatever.
It did bother me that in the middle of like my Ranma 1/2 run and my Maison Ikoku run, they changed the sizes of the books.
Sure.
But that was a line-wide choice. This is just a stylistic change for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's a little perplexing.
It's definitely perplexing.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, you were saying about variants, Patrick?
Well, another thought just popped in my head I was going to talk about, and then it immediately went out, and now I can't remember it. And I'm trying to think about talking about Jason and those books and how things change, and nope, it's completely gone. And I hate it. So we talk about the Substacks we follow on occasion, and while we've cut back on who we pay for, most creators have a free tier. And we raved about Tom Brevoort's all the time, Man in a Hat.
Yeah, it drops every Sunday. I love it.
Every Sunday. But I don't think we give enough love to our hands-down favorite Substack, Chip Zdarsky.
It really is. The pay tier for him is absolutely worthwhile because it's got new pages for public domain before they come to print, and Kaptara, which I don't even think is scheduled for print yet.
Did you read today's Kaptara?
It was great.
Yeah, and it was a fill-in episode.
Yeah, it was a weird dating game.
Date or bait.
Date or bait. It was great. But even beyond that, Chip's free level is pretty fun because he's just got a great sense of humor, and his writing style is real fun and irreverent. And
he does not take himself seriously. He's very self-deprecating.
The Chip Class YouTube videos are terrific. His weird riff on Masterclass stuff. Yeah, incredibly funny stuff. And yeah, the pay tier is absolutely worthwhile, and the free tier is a no-brainer.
You should definitely sign up to the free tier. Substack.com, search for Chip Zdarsky. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that same article about variant covers that David Harper wrote about, that I'm quoted in multiple times, so is Chip Zdarsky. Mm-hmm. And his whole... And I say Chip Zdarsky because that is one of the many different ways he wrote his name on the cover of a Sex Criminals one time. Mm-hmm. So that always sticks in my head.
Because for those who don't know, Chip Zdarsky is a pen name. It is not his real name. So he will frequently spell it in some ludicrous way.
Or say that the Z is silent, so it's just Chip Zdarsky.
It's not.
It's whatever he wants it to be.
Sure, why not?
So he is in the article talking about variant covers, but in today's Substack, he really broke down what variant covers are for people who don't necessarily know. So I'm about to read, and this is entirely Chip's. I took out the profanity.
Oh no.
I know. But this is Chip explaining variant covers, and you have to understand that frequently there is a bold type, all caps version of Chip Zdarsky who is talking to the other Chip Zdarsky.
Yes, they're having a conversation.
This one's a little more aggressive and a little more angry at the other one.
Yes.
So sometimes, hopefully by context, you'll be able to tell.
Yeah. Bold all caps Chip is meaner to regular Chip.
Yeah, and for this particular information, bold all caps Chip only has 3 lines.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
So anyway, this is Chip Zdarsky talking about variant covers. So, David Hunky Harper over at Sketched wrote a great piece about variant covers and the comic industry. Why is it a great piece? Because I, Chip Zdarsky, of course, am in it. Duh. Now, okay, stop it.
I didn't mean to, sorry.
I should probably explain what variants are to people like my mommy and daddy and mommy-in-law and daddy-in-law who maybe don't know what I'm talking about. Oh boy, here we go. Variant covers are copies of a comic that have a different cover than the main cover. This is done because it's a relatively cheap way to create new, distinct product for sale since the interiors are the same. The real costs lie in the new cover art and the setup fee to swap out the printing plate for just the cover. Easy, right? The tricky part lies in the ordering. Open order is just as it sounds. Retailers look at the ordering catalog and see a cover A and a cover B and can order as many as they want of either. Sounds nice. Okay, case closed. Sure, but it's not always just cover A and cover B. Some books can have many covers, and it can be hard for a retailer to determine which ones to order. And honestly, I feel bad for collectors who need to have every cover. At that point, the interiors, the story pages, are redundant. Just printed to be collected and not read, which honestly doesn't feel very good. Oh, so you're... Sorry, I keep reading ahead and getting it wrong. Oh, you're so pure of an artist. I'm not, but man, maybe it's living in my weird forest, but I'm going to send trees to ye old pulp mill. I kind of want them to be for reading. Anywho, let's look at another kind of variant. Incentive variants are tied to your orders of the main cover. Basically, you have to order a certain number of cover A to qualify for ordering cover B, which means you have retailers doing the math to figure out if it's worth increasing those orders on cover A to sell cover B at a jacked up price, and how much that price could possibly be. I hate this because it generally means you're buying a lot of excess stock that you won't be able to sell in order to get the cover that you can sell, hopefully. This means a lot of printed books with no homes, but it gets really tricky when it's many incentive variants. This is when you have a bunch of variant covers all tied to different ordering numbers on your main cover. So you have to order 50 of cover A to order 1 of cover B, but 100 of cover A to get 1 of cover C, and 200 of cover A to get cover D, etc., etc. This can create super rare variants which are worth a lot of money. I mean, worth if someone actually pays what's asked. I did a variant for Darth Vader miniseries years ago at what felt like the height of the DC Marvel incentive race. It was fun. It's full of stair carrots. I'm a genius. But Marvel then did a variant of the variant, which is also a thing, a black and white version where retailers had to order 5,000 of the main cover to order the black and white version. That's bonkers. I generally don't know how retailers do it. Recently, I was talking to a retailer about variants, and they said that they love Saga so much because there's no variants, which means they know exactly what to order month to month. But we all can't be Saga. Anyway, there's still another option for retailers, retailer variants. These are variants specifically made for the individual retailer. They have input into art, can brand it for their store. It's an exclusive. But to do this, they need to order a minimum number of copies, which can be quite high, usually in the thousands. They sell them for an increased price to cover their costs, but are often stuck with a lot of copies. It's a big gamble, and it doesn't always work out financially for them. So yeah, those are variants. At this point, they're so woven into the industry that I genuinely don't think many comic shops would survive without them, and the concocted rarity of the incentive variants. It's a weird thing. I don't really care for it, but it is what it is. I want readers, but also, I want to be able to make these stories and put food on the table, so playing the game just feels inevitable, like death and taxes and Marvel movies. However, besides financial solvency, there's actually a thing about variants I really like. The art. There's genuinely more freedom when working on variants, and you can get some really cool art and design out of them. I love that part. I'm taking a break from illustrating variants, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I miss it. It can be a lot of fun to make. So there you go. A very well said rundown of variants. And I'm pretty sure everybody who listens to this podcast already knows that. But I feel like this is a great primer to have somewhere, anywhere, that we can point to.
Much like the David Harper article, it's interesting to get a lot of different perspectives on it. We spent a lot of time talking about what variant covers mean to us as retailers and how it affects our profitability or causes frustrations or whatever. But to hear about it kind of from like the creator end of things is interesting. And I don't think Chip really gets into it to the level that like a James Tynan might, as far as like how specifically variant covers work for him as a creator with creator-owned projects or with a publisher that's expecting a specific return on investment or whatever. Yeah, for us, we say no to a lot of variant covers. We'll stock some that we feel like people are going to want, usually in small numbers. Chip mentions at one point getting rid of variant covers would be detrimental to the industry in a way that some stores would not survive. For us, if we got rid of variant covers, it would probably cost us 15% of our business.
Looking at business as a whole, regardless of what happens through the rest of November, the last couple days in December, we're most likely going to be up from last year.
Yes.
Which means that 2021 will have been our biggest sales year. But it's so weird to me to look...
Wait, we're going to be up from last year.
Oh, 2022, sorry.
Yes. Okay.
What year is this?
2022 all year.
Okay.
Yeah.
This year
okay.
will be bigger than whatever.
Yes, it does seem that way, yes.
So, having been doing this for 32 years, I've seen a lot of sales figures over the years.
Sure.
And it's weird to me how the strength of publishers, say 20 years ago, was so different.
Yes.
When they put out so fewer books. So many fewer books? What's the grammar for that? So much more fewer books. Less books.
Way less books.
They put out way less books, but sold way more of those books.
Yes.
But the industry wasn't anywhere near the dollar amount that it is now. But publishers could afford to do things like trade shows and conventions. And now publishers have to kickstart most of their books. You know, if you're not Marvel or DC, you're kickstarting so many things, and there's so little money involved and so little marketing money and so little room to maneuver for anything that it's weird to see stores doing better, but also more unsure than ever before and not knowing the place of a publisher in 2022.
Well, I mean,
or 23.
Or any year. There's more frustrations, certainly. I mean, this podcast is a testament to how many more frustrations there are in running a comic shop with the way the market's behaving right now. it was easier in a sense back in the day because you would have, 20 books a week from Marvel instead of 40, or 15 instead of 30. And each of those would probably sell twice as much. And what you'd end up being able to do is having a longer shelf life for a lot of these books. The biggest problem in the industry is not necessarily the lower number of sales per book or how many variant covers there are or how many incentive covers there are. It's how short the shelf life is for every single book. Because that means that the unsold copies, there's no outcome for them other than throwing them in a back issue box, hoping someone wants them in 5 years, or just remaindering them as quickly as you can. The days of 4 to 6 weeks of cycles that we used to do back in the day where we'd say, okay, well, maybe you want to sell out by week 4, but maybe for a certain book you want to sell out by week 6. And then it's started to become like maybe week 3. Now it's like, if I'm out of most books by week 1, fine.
Great. Love it.
Because there aren't people coming in weeks 2 and 3 and 4 for these comics. Randomly, in small, non-repeatable ways. It's not like we would consistently sell 4 extra copies of Batman in week 2, and then 2 extra copies in week 3, and then 1 extra copy in week 4. You would get this random bump of, someone would just randomly come in from out of town, and they'd be like, oh, I need Batman, or something. Or a child would want a Spider-Man comic or something. So it's nothing you could order the next issue towards, because what if that child is not allowed to get another book next month? Or what if that child wants a different superhero or whatever?
Or what if the person who was on vacation in your shop isn't on vacation in your shop?
Speaking of ordering, here's the one kind of trick I do as far as how I order as far as variants go.
Get blackout drunk.
I don't drink. One of the things that Chip sort of vaguely mentions, and I think if I'm remembering it correctly, maybe it's the David Harper thing. It's the issue of, let's say there's 6 covers for Fantastic Four #1, and you order collectively 100 copies. Well, Fantastic Four #2 has 4 copies or 4 covers.
4 covers, yeah.
2 of which are the same as your previous 6, and 2 of which that are all new, all different. What are you going to order for those?
You were already going to order 60 copies total for #2 anyway.
How do you break that down? So what I'll usually do is this. What I'll usually do is, instead of reducing my sales figures or my order numbers, like we would normally, assuming that a certain percentage of people who bought issue 1 are never going to come back for issue 2. We've talked about a million reasons why, but let's just say that's a core logic for the direct market when it comes to ordering second issues of series, is you reduce it by a percentage. Basically, I'll just assume that the variant covers are that percentage, and then I'll pretty much just order cover A's more or less the same, issue 1 to issue 2.
Okay.
Collectively, then, since I'll have less variant covers, I will have ordered less for issue 2 than for issue 1, but the assumption is it's just come off of a book that no longer exists. In that instance, Marvel has cut my numbers by 25 or 30%, and I'm just ordering what I'm ordering. It's usually how I do it. So there's less stress about what are the sales figures going to be and how many actually did I sell to a person who's going to come back and get the next one. There's no way of knowing that. You can't really tell. So just take the cut of variant covers as the cut of your overall order and move on.
What if they go up on #2 for variant covers?
They never do.
They're going to listen to this and be like, oh, that's where we're going wrong.
Even look at FF #1. They had their main cover by Alex Ross. They had their first of their black and white team variants.
By Alex Ross.
And then they had an Alex Ross B cover.
Yeah.
And then they had incentive variants and whatever else. So, for issue 2, right off the bat, they got rid of the Alex Ross B cover. So now it's like, okay, well, the 10 or 15 copies I ordered for that, I'm not ordering for issue 2. There's some of your cut. Now we ordered 15 copies less than we did of issue 1. Those are the 15 people who might have bought issue 1 that are not going to come back for issue 2.
But don't worry, they'll do an extreme month cover.
Yeah, a lot of those theme months we just don't participate in.
No.
Mostly because it's frequently the variant covers are for something that has nothing to do with the book it's a variant to. They did the Amazing Spider-Man Beyond month, where you could just get an Amazing Spider-Man cover by Dave Johnson for Avengers Forever.
Yeah, what's the point?
He's not in Avengers Forever at all.
It's always weird when somebody misses a book and they're like, "Oh, can you get me a copy?" And all we can get is the completely non-related variant cover.
But we'll always offer that because sometimes
course.
people are like, "I just want to read the story."
Yeah, no, it's weird to be like, "Oh, here is the Fantastic Four villain cover to your copy of Hulk."
But we generally will not reorder those for the shelf if we are out of a book, even if people seem like they're excited about it, because once it goes on the shelf and it's a Blastar cover for a Daredevil comic, no one's going to know it's a Daredevil comic. It's going to see Blastar and their eyes are just going to bounce right off of
that
it.
is an actual example that you just gave.
I believe it is. It was a Blastar cover for something. I think it was.
That's what that was in my head, why I said a Fantastic Four villain.
Because we tried that one time. We're like, well...
It's all we can get.
But
this is a new number one.
And people are looking for this book, and okay, and then we didn't sell them.
That's because no one knew that it was the book they wanted, because it didn't have the logo or anything. It had the logo on the back cover.
Yeah, and we've had issues with the open order Virgin variants. I don't know what they call them anymore. The full art variants for the DC does, where they don't have a logo, they just have a little print at the upper left-hand corner that'll say, like, Detective Comics number whatever. And people will walk right by it on the shelf because they don't see the Detective Comics logo, and they're looking for Detective Comics, so they're like, I must be looking in the wrong spot. And it's like, no, this one was. It's just that's the only one we have left is that open order cover.
Yeah.
A lot of little things like that feel like they're a smart idea in a vacuum, but then it's like, oh, man, I got to put this on a shelf, and no one's going to understand this.
People still don't understand ratio variance, but what can you do except explain it to them?
Yep.
And be like, don't you read Chip's Substack? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Hey, what's with that Firestorm? That mask on the package. Why does his mask go under his eyes?
What?
The illustration.
It doesn't.
Is that just line work?
Yeah, that's just shadow.
I definitely need new glasses.
Sorry.
I thought it was part of the costume that went down. I'm like, why? He's never had that. Why is that?
No, that's just shadows.
Okay. That's fine. Welcome to the podcast where I routinely look at things on the shelves and question them, like the Jason hardcover from before.
Sure.
Yeah, that's just... I definitely need new glasses. I don't even know how I got here today. Just bumping into things and...
Oh, no.
I say this all the time, and I hate saying it, but I'm only saying it because it happened. I had a whole other variant cover topic that I thought of while we were talking, and I lost it again.
Oh, no.
I need to write things down faster.
It's true.
Faster. Was it somebody asking for something? It was something about a Spawn cover? I don't know. There's too many Spawn covers.
Was it that Eminem cover?
I mean, we can talk about that. That did. I was going to mention it because it was so funny that someone wanted a Paul McCartney cover. Mm-hmm. Eminem did a variant cover to. I don't even know what Spider-Man book it was. Spider-Man #1. I think it was the Dan Slott, Mark Bagley Spider-Man #1.
Okay.
Where it's a rap battle between Eminem himself and Spider-Man, drawn by Salvador La Roca. Mm-hmm. And he had 1,000 copies that dropped on his website. And there are 1,000 more going online in a place called, I think, The Heap.
Okay.
But that's it. And there's two versions. There's like a $33 version and a $300 version.
Oh, my God.
And they were all sold immediately.
Of course they were.
They're online for up to $2,000. However, no one has bought the $2,000 ones. But some people have paid like $200 for this book.
We'll see what happens over Christmas.
And we had a bunch of phone calls for it, but no, I'm sorry, that's not a thing that was not offered for us. The question is,
do you remember
if
when
it was open order, would we have carried it? Because this isn't the first Eminem cover.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've said this before, but a lot of what I determine we get on FOCs, if Patrick hasn't ordered it on initial order, is if we've had people
ask for it,
pre-ordering it. If we've had subscribers, adding specific covers, it's like, well, there's probably interest there. If we don't see pre-orders for, random variant covers, we probably won't order them for the shelf. If we'd gotten 3 or 4 people who added an Eminem cover, or people had called up asking for it, it'd be like, well, I guess we got to carry that now. I was going to say, every time I see something like that, I think of how frustrating it was when Marvel was doing the hip-hop homage covers.
Yeah.
Because at the time what Marvel was doing it wasn't open order and it wasn't a ratio variant. What they were doing was you had to clear some percentage of a previous comic you'd ordered from Marvel in a new cover. So like basically like if you were ordering, and I'm going to make up a book here, Defenders number 5, and Defenders number 5 had a hip-hop variant. You could get the hip-hop variant at any quantity you wanted as long as you ordered 150% for Defenders that you'd ordered for Amazing Spider-Man number 18 or something. So first you'd have to go out and figure out what you ordered for Amazing Spider-Man 18 by FOC. Then you'd have to multiply that by whatever percentage Marvel had determined you needed to order of that to qualify. So you'd have to figure out, like, okay, I ordered 40 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 18, so I need to order 60 copies of Defenders, and then I can get the Defenders hip-hop variant. So we frequently wouldn't qualify for those because we'd be like, well, to even carry the hip-hop cover at all, which is all people would want, we'd have to get, X amount of unsold copies of the main cover that we order non-returnable. And that's the big thing about this. And it's something Chip talked about, which is the real danger in a lot of this, as far as like the market collapsing at some point, is that stores, not challengers, are ordering more copies of A covers than they can sell to qualify for incentive covers. They're selling their 1 in 5,000 Vader Down number 1s for thousands of dollars, and then taking the 3,500 copies they might have of Vader Down that they didn't sell and throwing them directly in the garbage.
But stair carrots. Those stair carrots were very good.
They were. Again, Challengers doesn't do that. We don't chase variants like that. I think we've done it like one time that I can recall. It was for King Spawn and Berserker. And Berserker we did it, so 2 times. Berserker we did it because it was returnable. All of the covers that we didn't sell for Berserker A through E were returnable. So it was no risk to us. If we sold 1,000 copies and we sold the Keanu Reeves signed variant, great. If we sold 200 copies and we sold the Keanu Reeves variant, we'd sent back 800 copies. Boom was fine with that. That was their rule. For most of these other variants, Marvel doesn't do that. DC doesn't do that. You want a 1 in 666 copy Batman Spawn variant, you're ordering 666 copies. Hope you sell them.
Yeah, that's just the way to do it.
So we don't leap for that sort of stuff because that is, it seems really dangerous, I guess, financially reckless. So we don't do it. But the stores that do it and can make a living, I guess, more power to them.
And there is a huge clientele for those things. There are people that just do variant covers, and that is why you have Whatnot shows, that and back issues. That is why people do live things, and there is a whole younger clientele that just wants the variant covers, and it's getting more and more prevalent. So it's not the kind of thing you're like, well, I can wait out. It's like saying cassettes are going to come back. I'll wait until MP3s fail.
Sure.
Or however kids listen to music nowadays.
Yeah, I don't understand how the stores that are able to order a ton of unsold copies make that work. Mostly because I see what a lot of variant covers that we get in sell for, and the math does not work anymore. Like, I don't understand how it's sustainable. Like, if you have a 1 in 100 variant, frequently for us, when we put them on eBay, they're maybe selling for like $40, $50. Like, maybe you get closer to 100 if it's a super weird hot issue.
Yeah.
But if it's $40 or $50, like, you probably had to pay $200 in regular copies to get that $40 or $50. So, I mean, you need to sell like 80 of the other cover to not have lost money on the deal. Like, this doesn't work. The math of this is bad.
We went in over the summer on 2 different, I'll say Challengers exclusives, but one of them was a shared exclusive.
Right.
For 8 Billion Genies number 1, the Curse Words Van Tour edition.
Yep.
And then the Challengers version of Do a Powerbomb number 1.
Yep.
Now, the Van Tour for 8 Billion Genies sold out for us, and we could order whatever we wanted for that one.
Yeah. And we ordered a lot, but we didn't order like an insane number.
Yeah.
We ordered a lot, I would say.
But then the Amazon announcement hit, and that book became super...
Oh my god.
Popular.
Yeah. Immediately.
It's weird to me we still have the local comic shop day #1s available.
I guess maybe it's cooling off a bit.
But we ordered
it has
so
to
few.
at some point.
It does. Well, or just Series Ends. But for Do a Powerbomb, since we're doing an exclusive cover for just Challengers, we had to hit an image minimum.
Right.
And then because we were getting copies for the wrestlers who were very, very generous in letting us use their visages.
Yep. All 3 of them. Yep.
So we got more comics just to give to them to sell on their respective sites and whatnot.
Yep.
But we still have a ton of that left.
We do, yeah, and I mean, some of the math for us was trying to figure out, like, our cost was so much more than a regular issue of Do a Powerbomb, and so we're like, okay, well, we have to account for that. Copies were given away and everything else. And then we have to assume that we are not going to sell 500 copies of this. Like, we are one store, even with an online storefront, like, we are one store, and our reach is not that great, and so we had to figure out, like, what is a price that we can sell it at, where if we sell a smaller fraction, that we can still not lose money on this, and we still have not hit that number yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing that I'm sure you, the listener, hate to hear about.
Sorry.
Like, oh, this price has to be higher because we know we're not going to sell all these books. We have to be able to eat this percentage of this print run.
Or I think it's from my mind, it's less that than like we are not profitable until at this price we are not profitable until we hit X copies sold.
Yeah.
And we have not hit X copies sold yet on Do a Powerbomb #1, and I feel like the window for that is basically closed.
I mean, there's only one more issue of the book.
I mean, hopefully people will discover it at some point. I don't know, maybe there'll be a movie or something. It's a book we love and we push very hard.
It's such a good book.
But we were very excited about the pre-order numbers, and then that was kind of it as far as like outside of Challengers. So yeah, it's
and inevitably it's not a book that took the comic reading fandom by storm like a Wonder Woman Dead Earth did.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I guess it didn't do great. I don't know specifics, but yeah, it's a shame, and it definitely taught us like we can't do store exclusive variants. Like the numbers for us, the size of our store, we can't make sense of it. Like we don't like charging. I think $15 is what we charge for the Do a Powerbomb #1 store exclusive variant. We don't like doing that. We find that to be a barrier. Like we want people reading and enjoying these books, so we still ordered a ton of like the $3.99 cover one because we wanted people who were on the fence or curious to be able to pay a lower price and try it out, find out that they loved it, and come back for the rest of the series. Like that's more what we're about as a store. The $15 one was more like you're already a fan, you're already psyched about this. Here's a cool bonus one you can get. The problem is we're a small store and there's not enough of those people, even for someone with the fan base of DWJ. Like there's almost no way we can do it for any book where it's going to make sense for us. Like maybe some stars will align some point in the future and we'll give it a shot. We'd hoped with local wrestlers and people who appeared on AEW shows and signings and everything else. But it didn't.
I mean, we don't regret it.
No, it was fun to do, and I like that we have it, and I like that it's a book that we actually believed in. It wasn't just something that got like brought to us or dropped in our lap, and we're like, okay, sure.
And it also wasn't a thing that we did because like we could make so much money on this book.
No. The price we picked for it was just so that if we sold, I think in my brain it was like 2/5. If we sold 2/5 of what we ordered, it would be profitable instead of like, a half. And we didn't hit that.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Still a good book.
It's still a good book, and it's still available on our website. There's a banner at the top of our storefront, and probably be there forever.
You know what else is a good book?
What's that,
A book
Patrick?
that won't come out for a little bit yet, but I've gotten to read 75% of it.
Is it Where Monsters Lie?
Where
from Dark
Monsters
Horse?
Lie from Dark Horse.
You know what I read before we started recording?
Torrent.
Where Monsters Lie 1 through 3,
I thought
and
you read
also Almighty #1 and Torrent #1, but I don't want to talk about those two.
What did you think about Where Monsters Lie?
I thought it was fantastic.
Right?
Did that dude just kick a baby into the air? Yeah, it's...
Hey, friend. How would you like to get stabbed today?
No, thank you.
Would you like to get stabbed again? I most certainly would not.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I liked Where Monsters Lie, written by Challenger's buddy Kyle Starks, Russell Boy Kyle Starks. And I thought it was fantastic. The premise is great. It's basically a gated community where serial killers go,
slashers,
between killing sprees.
Yeah.
So when, a Halloween movie ends and the next Halloween movie starts, between that, Michael Myers goes to this gated community until he's ready to go back out into the world and start killing people again. So it's this incredibly weird gated community of archetypes where it's like a Chucky and a Jason and a Hannibal Lecter and like all those sort of
Pennywise,
different characters. What's scarier than a clown with a flamethrower getting diarrhea in a traffic jam? It's incredibly funny. The book is super funny, and
but it's definitely not a comedy. It's not written like a comedy.
Disagree.
Kyle will tell you it is not a comedy.
Kyle can say what he wants. I read it. I was laughing my ass off the entire time. It's not. I guess if I was splitting hairs, I would say it's not written like a comedy, and that's why it's so funny.
Right. Yeah.
I'll
give you that.
It's not a lot of like punchline gag sort of stuff, even though the absurdity of it is right there on page 1.
Yeah.
There are characters within the world who take it seriously. The book is a comedy. It's very, very funny. I highly recommend adding Where Monsters Lie to your subscriptions. It's only a 4-issue series. Like Patrick said, we've both read 75% of it, the first 3 issues, and they're killer. No pun intended. I liked it a lot.
It's fast paced. The story starts and just keeps going.
Yeah, it's because it's a 4-issue series. The whole thing takes place over like maybe a 24-hour period. Like it's a very quick, fun story, but also a lot of what looks to my eyes a lot of options for like franchising it and spinning it off and doing sequels and sort of stuff. That said, I haven't read issue 4. Maybe there's no chance for a sequel.
There's plenty of chances for prequels.
Sure.
All of these characters you want to know more about.
Yeah, you find out some of them, the relevant ones, but in general, they're archetype characters, so immediately you'll figure out which one is which and who they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic.
It's Peter Kowalski on art who's done.
He did Sex.
He did Sex with Joe Casey, and he's done a bunch of other stuff.
I'm sure he's done some other stuff. He's got a real cool Guy Davis-y sort of feel to his line work in this one.
This is a different style for him a little bit.
I think it works great. Highly recommend.
He makes every character easily identifiable.
Yes.
It's not like, it's the standard woman's face with different hair. They're all different body shapes and sizes and styles. Whoa, what is that? Dal? Is that Kyle Starks?
Hey guys. Hey, it's me, 2-time Eisner nominee, comic creator Kyle Starks. I'm not for sure how I magically appeared here, but I hear Patrick and Dal saying some very salient and important and very true things about my new book from Dark Horse Comics called Where Monsters Lie. It's very good. It's got monsters in it. People love monsters. You should take their advice and definitely do some early ordering. Get that book in there. People are going to love it. Tell them they're going to love it. Read it. You're going to love it. Everyone's going to love it. It's going to be great. Hey, Patrick. Hey, Dal. It's good to see you guys again. I'm now going to magically disappear. I don't know what's happening to my universe. It's very upsetting.
Wow. How did he do that? That's weird. That guy can do anything. We really like I Hate This Place.
Yeah.
This is better. It's very different.
This is more in the Six Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton sweet spot, where it's lovingly satirizing a type of storytelling.
Yeah.
Like Six Sidekicks was a comedy, but was also so in love with like 80s action movies and like Chuck Norris nonsense and that sort of stuff. This is like Cabin in the Woods-esque, where it's playing around with a lot of those ideas and trying to come up with like a mechanism for how this world works. Like, what does it mean that there's a gated community that Hannibal Lecter can go to between Hannibal Lecter killing sprees? Like, why? Who's responsible for that? But
it's not just that. It's what else that community means to these people.
And that's kind of the other side of it that makes it work really well, is that, on top of that, there's also like, what is it like when the Jigsaw killer is your neighbor? Like, is he a good neighbor? Is he a bad neighbor? Like, how does that work? Yeah. Highly recommend it.
Speaking of horror, this isn't really comic related, but they just wrapped up season 2 of the Chucky TV series.
Okay.
And my friend Barbara Allen Woods is the mayor / the main character's mother.
Okay.
In the series. Coincidentally, the main character is in real life her daughter.
Okay. So is the main character her daughter in the show as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's playing her daughter's mother.
They're playing mother and daughter on the show and in real life?
Yeah. And this is a spoiler for the Chucky season finale. So if you haven't seen it, stop listening now because this is the very end of the podcast. So thanks for listening, etc., etc. Barb dies so gruesomely.
Ooh.
Chucky bisects her with a chainsaw completely vertically, and the two pieces just fall apart.
Was that a tiny doll-sized chainsaw or like a full-size chainsaw?
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
I only saw stills from it.
Okay.
In like dark images.
I guess maybe
and whatnot.
that cannot be a spoiler then for people.
Yeah.
Gotta watch the show to find out what size chainsaw.
Barb was homecoming queen at my high school, but a few years above me.
Okay.
And I helped load up the moving van when she was moving from Darien to Hollywood.
Aw.
I know, right? But also, she's got daughters who are all actors. One of them was on The Gifted. The main non-powered family on The Gifted.
Her daughter was Amy Acker's
daughter.
Oh, okay.
On the show. Yeah. So there you have it. Just a little horror. And apparently Liv Morgan from the WWE, who is a huge horror fan and really wanted to be murdered by Chucky in the series, got murdered by Chucky a few episodes ago.
Wow.
And
just like the Bunny, someone who wanted to
Bunny
be murdered
is
by
so
an evil...
jealous.
But she's a Puppet Master fan. She's
right.
into Puppet Master stuff.
But what is Chucky?
Right, but it's a different franchise.
A doll.
It is.
But anyway, she's well, to be fair, Bunny has been in a Puppet Master movie.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, she shouldn't be jealous. She was already doing Puppet Master stuff. That's her true love.
Don't forget the Guardians holiday special is out now on Disney Plus.
Sure, dropped today.
So obviously you'll have listened to this first because we just told you about it. And here's to the start of your holiday season going the way you want it to. Don't forget we have plenty of great gifts. We also have Dave Scheidt signing on Saturday, December 10th from 12 to 2. Who's got a bunch of all ages books. Yeah,
here's a quick gift idea, not Dave Scheidt related, but someone ordered one today, and I was like, yes, that's an awesome gift idea for people. We have plenty of copies of the Jenny Frison DC poster book, signed by Jenny.
Yeah.
And the posters themselves are all, you can separate them, and
Detachable
they're suitable
prints.
for framing.
Yeah.
I think it's an awesome, and it's like $25.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great, and we ship it. So if you're someone who's farther away, we'll ship it out.
It's on our website right now.
Yeah, I think that's a hell of a gift idea as far as something that, like, if you want something that's a cool art gift that is also not necessarily something you can just get anywhere, since it's signed, it is a little unique.
There you go. Plenty more suggestions like that in the store.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.